Time no longer obeys the clock inside the diner. Mira has become more than watcher, more than mortal. She is fragment and fulcrum, memory and manifestation. The diner still stands, but not on a single stretch of highway. It exists across layers now, broken realities, threaded together by salt, blood, and forgotten names. The burned god stirs beneath the cracked seal. And outside, along 1,000 miles of cursed asphalt, identical diners flicker into being, each one echoing a different truth. Some are older, some never had a Mira, some have already burned. Only one rule remains constant: someone must watch. Chapter 1. Mirrors Without Glass. Mira stood in the walk-in freezer, breath steaming. She hadn't walked here. Every time she opened a door lately, it led somewhere new. The diner's structure was collapsing, not just in space, but in purpose. Mirrors lined the freezer walls, mirrors without glass. They rippled like pools. Each one showed a different version of her. One with hollow sockets and a stitched mouth. One made of bone and embers. One still wearing Caleb's blood like a shawl. On the door, etched condensation formed a single line. Rule 144, if you see yourself bleeding in the reflection, do not blink. She blinked. The freezer howled. The lights went black. Chapter 2. Jude's Whisper. Jude's voice came from the rulebook. "You never burned me," he whispered through torn pages. His words bled into the margins. Mira slammed the book shut, but the whispering didn't stop. She found him in a dream, seated on the 13th booth. His body was made of cutlery and blood. His eyes were spoons. He held out a tray with a napkin folded into a name, Mira, written backward. "Someone is using your name out there," he mouthed. She woke to find the napkin on the counter. Chapter 3. Highway 0. A cardboard box appeared on the edge of the diner, resting on the asphalt like it belonged. Inside, a hand-drawn map, roads twisted like veins, intersecting in a location labeled 0. A note written in Caleb's hand. "This is where it ends, Mira, but not for you." The diner's windows showed new signs. Instead of mile markers, numbers counted down: 237, 236, 235. Each tick echoed in her spine. Chapter 4. Crossroads. She stepped outside and found herself at a four-way intersection. Each road led to a different version of the diner. One was submerged. One was burned to ash. One pulsed like a beating heart. One had a watcher already waiting, a version of Mira with her mouth sewn shut, her hands nailed to the countertop. The nailed Mira looked up. "Don't take my path," she hissed. "You'll let him out." Chapter 5. The Archivist. The diner's radio began playing a voice that introduced itself as the Archivist. "We remember so you don't have to," it said. "But you've made us forget." Mira found a door behind the kitchen that hadn't existed. Behind it was a library built from ribs and lanterns. Floating index cards whispered secrets. She read one. "You were never meant to survive your first shift." Chapter 6. The Hollow Apostles. 7 figures in long coats arrived at 4:44 a.m. Their eyes were gone. Their mouths never moved, but each placed a finger on the jukebox, and it played their story. They had once been watchers. Each had broken a rule. Each had begged for death and been denied. Mira asked them why they came. One raised a hand and wrote on the window in condensation, "The burned god walks." Chapter 7. The Flooded Diner. Mira took the flooded road. The diner at the end of it sat beneath water. Fish with human teeth swam past. Inside, waterlogged menus whispered her name. She entered. The air was thick and cold. She found her reflection in a glass panel, drenched, older, eyes pitch black. Her reflection mouthed, "Save him, Caleb." Chapter 8. The Siren Booth. Back in her diner, the 13th booth began to sing, low, melancholic. Customers leaned too close, their ears bled. Mira taped off the booth. It tore the tape apart at night. Rule 152. If the booth sings, it's remembering something best left buried. Chapter 9. Splinters. Every time Mira blinked, she lost a second, then a minute. Then she blinked, and it was her first shift again. Caleb was behind the counter, smiling. "Welcome to the diner," he said. "Read the rules." She screamed. It echoed through multiple timelines. Chapter 10. The Womb Diner. A diner made of flesh, beating, warm. It pulsed in rhythm. Mira crawled inside. The floor was tongue, the plates were teeth, and in the center, an egg made of bone. It cracked open. Inside, her, unborn, still humming the burned god's lullaby. Chapter 11. The Hungry Hour. At 2:13 a.m., all the utensils in the diner twisted into mouths. They screamed. The food cooked itself. The ketchup wept. Mira hid in the walk-in until the hour passed. When she came out, one word was written in gravy across the tiles: eat. Chapter 12. Watcher Reborn. A new watcher came through the door, a child. She claimed to be Mira's replacement. She bled salt. She never blinked. Mira asked who sent her. "You did," she said. "In the future, you'll never live." Chapter 13. The Severance Ritual. To keep her memories, Mira had to perform a severance. She carved a memory of Caleb into wax, set it on fire, and swallowed the smoke. She forgot his face, but remembered his fear. Chapter 14. Whisper Diner. Another version of the diner where no one spoke. Sound itself was forbidden. Signs read, Rule 166. If you hear anything, you've already been heard. Mira whispered her name. The walls bled. Chapter 15. The First Watcher. She met him at last. He was stone, immobile, yet his thoughts pierced her like static. He had watched before the first diner. He had watched the source. He failed. He said only one thing. The Burn God doesn't want freedom. He wants audience. Chapter 16. Salt Moon. The moon turned to salt. It rained down in sharp, glittering flakes. Anything it touched screamed and dissolved. Myra stayed inside, but the salt seeped through the walls. Rule 170. If the moon changes, write a new rule, quickly. Chapter 17. The Ash Mirror. Myra found a mirror made of ash. She looked in and saw every version of herself, dying, burning, thriving, becoming. One spoke to her. You are not the end. You are the lock. Chapter 18. Leviathan. A massive entity crawled from beneath the diner. It had no shape, only hunger. It wore all the forgotten names like armor. Myra screamed one of her own names at it. It recoiled. Rule 177. Names are knives. Chapter 19. The Hollow Seven return. They came again. They sat in the booths. They ordered nothing. They smiled. And each one whispered a piece of a prophecy. When the bell tolls 5 times, watchers will die. The bell tolled once. Chapter 20. The Burned Choir. Children with charred skin sang in the parking lot. Myra didn't listen. She plugged her ears. Still, she heard them. They sang of the end, of ash, of audience. Chapter 21. Caleb's memory. She found it bottled under the counter, his final memory. She drank it. She saw him scream as the seal shattered, saw his soul fracture into 999 pieces. She woke up, crying. Chapter 22. Fracture Diner. Reality split. 5 versions of the diner now existed simultaneously. Myra began phasing between them uncontrollably. Every shift pulled her closer to the core. Chapter 23. The Burned God Rises. She felt it. The air burned. The clocks melted. Every rule unspooled into ash. The burned god opened its eyes for the first time in centuries, and it smiled. Chapter 24. Mira's Choice. To reseal the burned god, she must sacrifice something more than blood. She must offer belief. She must unmake the diner and herself. Chapter 25. The Door That Should Not Exist. A door appeared in the hallway. It glowed blue. It hummed. A note pinned to it. Last shift begins here. She entered. Caleb sat inside. Alive. Human. Crying. "You're not supposed to be here yet," he said. Behind him, the burned god rose.